LDS Church here on University Avenue via email or by phone. They did not agree to an interview, but advised that I contact their representatives in Salt Lake City.
It is disappointing just because we're a university.
Alexander McKinney is a member of Spectrum, an LGBTQ organization here on campus, and he believes that the church's policies may cause problems.
I feel like that's very clearly problematic. The power and the argument and the rhetoric behind that choice that the church had made is the completely false statistic that children do better in a household where there's a mother and a father.
Thomas B. McAfee, a professor here at UNLV, expressed his opinions on the same-sex parenting issue.
I don't think the church faces any real threat of any legal liability for anything they've done, because decisions about who and when you baptize people and who and when you do some kind of church discipline where you disfellowship or excommunicate somebody, things like that, those are quintessentially church decisions, and it's part of the free exercise of religion. So I think it's pretty clear that they have the right to do what they're doing legally.
The church issued a clarification stating that the policy does not affect children already baptized within the church. Most people are looking on the bright side, stating that this is only a policy and policies can be changed. Shanique Schaff reporting for Studio G News.
We'll bring updates as the issues progress. When we return, we'll have news from around the nation.
Studio G, stay tuned.
Our Metropolis is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our Metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
The show's name is the Rebel and Revolt Show. Pretty good show about, just someone who will actually talk about UNLV the way an outsider might feel. We talk about current events, we talk about politics, try to take an offensive swing with it. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but and then we talk about, the little things in life that everybody laughs about. And we are the Rebels and we are revolting. My name is Jameson Wilk and I run the Rebel and Revolt Show, and you can tune in at therebelhd2.com.
The whole world is against ISIS, but there is one unique group who has also declared its campaign against ISIS.
A group of hackers that go by the name of Anonymous released a video declaring war against the terrorist group ISIS and have already leaked personal information on suspected ISIS recruiters. Anonymous has even called this their biggest project yet. ISIS did respond to the challenge by calling Anonymous idiots. I sat down with a network engineer here at UNLV TV about some of the hacking tactics that could be at play.
It is a battle of information, yeah. That's what the whole cyber computer world is. You would think about it as how when a typical FBI type of stunt happens where they're on the phone and then they try to triangulate the location, right? You can kind of do that in the same way in the cyber war. The other thing that they could do is just take down their different websites. One that's well known in the industry is the deny of service attack, DOS. And so if they put up a website, you could just pretty much go to that website and just take it down, just denying anybody to be able to visit that website. I guess that would be kind of a minor inconvenience because they could communicate through other means or any other way. So you're just taking down social media. What good's that going to do? Okay, so there's loss of visibility. They can't tell the world what's going on, but at the same time, you take one service or website or something down, you just open up another one. At this point, I really don't see them going anywhere. I think they'll just cancel each other out. I mean, that's how it's been over the years with anything with cybersecurity. The black hat, white hat, it just goes back and forth. Once there's a security vulnerability, it gets patched up and then it gets fixed, and then the black hat, they'll find another vulnerability, and then it's just been ongoing like that for ever since the internet and the computer days have existed.
From Studio G, I'm Kyle Root.
No one can really say if Anonymous's approach will be successful, but with ISIS's heavy social media recruiting approach, the hacking group might have some impact. Now, here's Brian Ortega with National News. Toss to you, Brian.
Thank you, Jordan. Another Republican has stepped out of the 2016 White House race. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal announced this week he is ending his bid for president. Jindal has been in single digits in the polls since he entered the race in June. A Fox News poll has Donald Trump with a wide lead among New Hampshire Republican voters. In the polls, Trump is leading with 27%, followed by Marco Rubio with 13% and Ted Cruz with 11%. For the Democrats, Bernie Sanders leads with 45%, while Hillary Clinton follows close behind. 12 after-school programs from across the United States and one from Honduras received honors at the White House this week. First Lady Michelle Obama hosted the 2015 National Arts and Humanities Youth Program Awards. The annual ceremony recognizes after-school programs that use the arts and humanities to engage youth to become better citizens and students.
That doesn't mean that we can rest on our laurels. Doesn't mean that we can wait for somebody else to do the work. We have to do it. And I'm expecting every...
The awards are presented each year in partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. That is your national news for today. When Studio G returns, we will talk to a geology student in the studio about a fascinating find right here in the valley. Stay tuned. Studio G will be right back.
The inability to breathe, snot pouring out of your nose, it's a real hairy business. As a firefighter, I'm a student of the weather, and I've noticed that there's a change that's occurred in the last several years. We're having many more large and damaging fires. Sometimes thousands of fires will occur. If the climate changes and we don't have the water we need, California could dry up and blow away.
Ever wonder what makes us, the Smurfs, so happy? The forest, of course. This is where we, along with the beautiful forest creatures, make our home with beautiful plant life, clean water, and endless adventures. It's a place to celebrate. So discover the forest with your family today. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Shervin Mushuri.
I'm Langston Carter.
Hi, I'm Holly.
My name is Anna.
My name is Jameson Wilk.
Window on the Middle East.
Spinning Indie.
Good News with Holly.
It's Jazz and a Touch of Soul.
It's Latin Nights with Anna.
The Rebel and Revolt Show.
And you can check it out on therebelhd2.com.
Recently, UNLV paleontologists excavated a fossil mammoth tusk just north of the valley. UNLV geology professor Stephen Rowland, along with his undergraduate students, excavated the fossils. We have one of those undergraduates with us today, Joe Woodworth. Good afternoon, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited to have you here and sort of talk about this. So we know that you found that you actually found the fossils this past summer,
yes.
But it wasn't until just a few weeks ago that you actually excavated the fossils. So can you tell us a little bit about where you found the fossils and what are some different things you found?
Okay, we actually found the fossils just outside of Indian Springs. It was actually a drainage canal for the highway, and what we had found, we had gone there initially, and the person who had found it thought it was a fossilized root. And when we actually got there, we looked at it real briefly, and we knew that right away it was a tusk. It wasn't actually a root; it was a mammoth tusk sticking out of the ground. After that, we started looking around the area a little bit more, just to see what else we could find there. And maybe 10 feet away, we found a molar sticking out of the ground also.
And so you do believe, but you're not sure that it came from the same animal?
Yes,
from St.
once we removed them, the molar was a fairly small molar. We're estimating from a mammoth about 5 years old. The tusk was also a very small tusk. And being that mammoths don't usually lose their tusks very often, and just the close proximity of the two, we believe they're the same individual.
How many years ago do you believe that the mammoth died?
The mammoth probably lived anywhere between about 12 and 15,000 years ago.
Woo. And you found it. That's remarkable. So can you kind of explain to us how does it go? How do you go about sort of preserving it and getting it out and not breaking it? That would be hard, I'm sure.
Yes, it's a very long process. You have to, once we find the fossil on the surface, we start excavating around it using brushes and dental picks and whatnot. We use a solution called Vinac to stabilize the fossil, which is a dissolved plastic and acetone. So it actually creates a little shell around the brittle fossil so that way it doesn't fall. Once we dig around where the fossil is, we'll lay damp paper towels and do a burlap bag soaked in plaster Paris to create a cast. And once the cast dries, then we dig out underneath it, flip the cast over, and start removing the sediments behind.
Are you ever nervous that you might sort of damage the fossils taking them out? I mean...
Yes, sometimes it gets very, very nerve-wracking because you'll remove what you think is going to be a small piece of sediment and then a big chunk falls out, and yeah, then it just starts to crumble apart and you got to kind of slowly put it back together.
So you can glue it, sort of put the pieces back together if you do.
Yes.
If something does happen. Is that often that something like that happens?
I try not to make it very often, but sometimes.
Yeah. And you're showing me some of your fossils that you brought. There's also, I don't remember the technical terms, but you have a crab, snail, clam.
Yes, I have a trilobite, which is, it's an arthropod, similar to like a, kind of like a crab nowadays. These are actually an index fossil. They live through various different time periods. There's also...
And you picked those apart.
Yes, this was actually in a shale over by Frenchman Mountain, and this is actually a shale that fits together where you actually split the...
And so what would make you think when you saw this to peel the layers, or do you just peel the layers apart from so many, not knowing if you're going to find anything, and then you just get lucky?
Yeah, it's essentially just a treasure hunt. You're hoping that every one you break will have a fossil. So.
And so most of us here, we would just think Las Vegas is so hot, it's so dry, it's a desert. We can't imagine there ever being a time that it was anything other than that. But do you think that, I mean, finding these obviously gives people a different idea of what Las Vegas, this area, used to be like? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Back in the last glacial maximum, which is the last ice age, the Las Vegas Valley was actually a marsh. It had a lot of marsh conditions. It had freshwater springs, seasonal rivers flowing through. At one point, the Las Vegas Valley was actually underwater, and you can actually find shark teeth up in...
Hard to imagine. Yeah. You mentioned an index fossil. Can you tell us about what that is?
An index fossil is a fossil that we use. They're very specific to a particular time. So with trilobites in general, or with different species lived in very particular time periods. So based on what species you find, you can determine how old that rock is just by the species.
That's interesting. So it's sort of like the fossils are telling about how old the rocks are too. Can we pull out some more of the fossils to show?
Okay.
Awesome.
These two, it's another trilobite and a brachiopod that was found out in the Muddy Mountains.
And so you drilled around this one, right?
Yes.
So like these would be some flat fossils, but you actually drilled around to kind of lift that out.
This is a much harder rock. You can't really break this one apart, so you have to actually drill this one away.
Looks tricky. And so if someone wanted to see these fossils, or if they wanted to see the mammoth tucks, tusk that you recently found. Where could they go to see that?
The tusk right now is being displayed in the Paleo Lab at the Las Vegas Museum of Natural History. They have various different fossils there. I believe they also have some trilobites and some brachiopods also you can see there.
Oh, wow. So it's possible.
Yes.
If they missed the show or if they want to look further into this stuff, it's possible. National History Museum. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. When we return, Studio G's Sarah Shelton attends the Rock and Roll Marathon on the Las Vegas Strip. Stay tuned. Studio G will be right back.
I really enjoy doing my show. I love all types of rock, and that's why I'm doing Rock Through the Decades. We play the 50s all the way to today's rock music or rock bands. I want them to get the appreciation of how much rock has changed over the years and how it's still really great. You can never kill rock. I mean, rock is like the way to be, the way to go. The name of my show is Rock Through the Decades, and I am Rockin' Gemini. You can listen to this on the Rebel HD2 network.
Sunday evening jazz. I mainly play a lot of contemporary jazz music from the 1960s up until about 2012, 2013. When I go on, just explain who it was, the name of the song, the name of the artist, maybe the name of the album, their career. I just hope that everybody enjoys it and appreciate it for the kind of music it is and how great it is. My name is Sam, and I host Sunday Evening Jazz on the RebelHD2.com.
You don't get to do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for journalism majors. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
This year's Rock and Roll Marathon took place and was held, as always, on Las Vegas Boulevard. Security was aimed to be extremely cautious and alert since the recent attack against Paris. Sarah Shelton with the story.
I'm on the Las Vegas Strip, where terror in Paris has left security high for the 2015 Las Vegas Marathon. Anguish and pain has been heard from all across the world due to last Friday's terroristic attacks against Paris, France. The attack, which has been blamed on ISIS, has brought more attention to security and law enforcement. As their country fights back, the U.S. has made safety a priority.
This is a great event, and you've got security people everywhere because it's just the nature of Las Vegas. Can you stop anything and everything? No.
A lot of presence of police, and I feel very safe.
I feel very safe running here. My heart is broken about what happened to the people in Paris, but so far I think the police department, security has been on point here, and I feel very safe, and I'm looking forward to a good run.
Many tourists feel they are in good hands this year during the race. With security on every corner, all suspicious activity is being handled, including one man who seems to be sleeping on the sidelines.
Hello, sir. Hello. How are you?
Many firefighters and police told me that they were not allowed to discuss the extra precautions being taken for this year's race.
I don't ever talk to you about Homeland Security stuff, but you should know that there is extra precautions.
One of the runners, who has been in multiple races across the country, feels that this is the most supervised race she has yet to run in.
I do feel safe about running. I guess just kind of wherever you are, it's gonna happen wherever. So but I feel they're doing a good job. They're obviously so.
Although security has been tighter, one pedestrian feels that tourists are not taking the necessary precautions that they should.
Well, I just sat down here, and I think it's really odd because there's 3 or 4 bags sitting down there with a camera bag that's, I don't know whose it is, but nobody's around it, and I think it's strange.
This man visiting from France says he does not feel security is up to par since a terroristic attack against his homeland.
Actually, I don't feel very comfortable with security, but I can do that about that.
This year's race concluded safely and people are out defying the fear ISIS has spewed in Europe, but the war on terror has not let down and enforcement is still heavily in place. Reporting to you for Studio G, I'm Sarah Shelton.
The event blocked off the boulevard for automobiles for most of the evening till police could safely ensure the runners were clear from the road to reopen the street. There also seemed to be an increased amount of wind and rain as soon as the race started, which probably didn't make the runners too happy.
Yep. The holidays are fast approaching, and with family and friends comes food. Our Recreation and Wellness Center hosted our 7th annual event to educate students how to eat with proportions in mind for the season away from school.
Hi, I'm Debbie Meyer over here at the Student Recreation Wellness Center, located out of the Rebel Wellness Zone. And today we're doing a program on healthy dining for the holidays. I think it's really important that we take a look on how we're dining. We have a month break coming up. The average weight gain for a female, it's about 1.5 pounds during a 6-week period from November to January 1st. And for males, it's about 2 pounds. But that number changes if you're obese or morbidly obese to about 5 pounds during that 6-week period. So that's why it's so important to maintain healthy eating, a good exercise program, or a higher activity level. That's my role as registered dietitian, because students get to see me for free up in the Rebel Wellness Zone. So we have a display over what is a portion, what's adequate portion control, as well as some of the changes you can make for a holiday dining, and some behaviors as well.
Here at the SRWC, we try promoting healthy lifestyle. It's important for our patrons to know what they should be eating or what maybe they should be backing away from a little bit. So stuff like this is great for our patrons because this is where they can learn a lot about it.
Eating everything you get your hands on, maybe a holiday ritual. It is for me, but for some. But keep in mind portion control this holiday, and it might keep you from gaining unnecessary weight.
I agree. I'm also one of those people that just eat on the holidays.
Yeah, Thanksgiving gets really intense for me. Yeah, you won't even recognize me. I get savage.
Yep, I agree. Well, finally today, in case you need a reminder that winter is coming, check out that blizzard that moved through northwest Kansas. 20 inches of snow fell near Colby, Kansas.
Wow, that is a lot of snow, especially this early. Gets into that holiday spirit, though.
Definitely. I love snow.
Yeah, snow. I heard Mount Charleston's getting poured on, so I think I might go up there this weekend and roll around in the snow a little bit, throw some snow around, have some fun.
And here it's kind of hot, but then it gets cool, so it's not bad. It's like a good middle.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's it's only when the wind picks up here. When it's just pure sun and no wind, it actually gets kind of warm here during December. It can be like 70s warm, but
yeah, I love it.
Well, that's all we have for you in this Thursday edition of Studio G. I'm Kyle Root.
And I'm Jordan Lorenzo. Tune in tomorrow for a new twist on our Friday magazine show. Have a great day, Rebels.